Welcome back, good morning ladies, gents and Pikachus. Unlike my usual videos, since I'm not making any of those for quite some time, I've got to wait for some of those predictions to come out. I thought, I'm just studying the Bible now, so if you're interested in understanding the Bible a little bit better than you already do, feel free to join me while I study the Bible. So it's not going to be full of memes or jokes, not going to be like an entertainment stream. This is homework, this is study. If you really want to understand this thing, the words that God has given us better, and take something out of that so that you can be better when you are debating, arguing, just living your life, feel free to join me. So the question on my mind, a guy in my study group named Adam has been debating with atheists, and he's hitting the same problems we all hit when we debate atheists. And the problem is, how do you convince an atheist to accept your evidence when they want you to accept their evidence? Because atheists, they fucking know everything, don't they? You know, I did when I was an atheist. And in their head they think, I have the facts because I have science. You don't have facts at all because you have Bible. Facts versus Bible is an argument you're going to lose. So it occurred to me, we have to feed atheists the Bible in the same way that we would feed our pet dog its antibiotics. You can't just give them it because they'll turn their nose up. And no matter what you do, they will not eat that pill. It's a bitter pill to swallow, if you like. So what we need to do is roll up our Bible verses in a piece of ham, disguise it with a nice tasty piece of food, and then offer it to them in a friendly way. Here you go. Go on doggy, take the food, and then they'll chomp down on it and they'll eat it. And by hook or by crook, they will have accepted and learnt from the truth of the Bible. And what I find is once they're willing to look at it and actually accept that it is truth, they won't have a problem with it. You know, these guys are not stupid. It's not like they're looking to be wrong. They're not looking for wrong answers. But in their propagandized, brainwashed view, their ignorant view, they think everything they have is factual, 100% true, despite the fact that they only know through other men telling them. And what you have is 100% false, because obviously other men that told you this are all dead, and their living guys that they spoke to today on YouTube are better than the dead guys that wrote this in their head. So let's go through Job 60, which I think has God presenting the best arguments that we're ever going to find against that view of atheism, that ignorant view against us. Job replies, miserable comforters are you. That's the title. Miserable comforters are you, and it's Job replying to some people who he's arguing with. Perhaps they're atheists. So straight away there we can get a slight idea of what this is going to be telling us, because miserable comforters is what these atheists are. They are trying to comfort themselves or you or anyone they speak to with facts and science and logic. That's what they think is a comfort to them, is knowing things. Only they don't consider that the things they know are not in any less doubt than the things they are going to find here. And in fact, if you have faith, these things do not have doubt. So straight away there you can say miserable comforters is them. They're miserable and they're looking for comfort. And they're talking to you. So God has presented you an opportunity to relieve them of their misery and actually show them what a real comforter looks like. And we know, if we're Christian, the comforter is Jesus. And the comforting tool that we're going to use is the words that Jesus gave us. Then Job answered and said, I have heard many such things. Miserable comforters are you all. Shall windy words have an end? Or what provokes you that you answer? So if we think about that, I have heard many such things, miserable comforters are you all. Job is saying, you guys are trying to be like what Jesus is to me. You're trying to be a comforter, but your truth isn't as good as the truth I get from Jesus. And the reason is your truth makes you miserable. And when you're telling it to me, you're making me miserable. Like before you even judge their style of dialect or, you know, the way they're speaking to you, whether they're being nice and friendly or whether they're being harsh and insincere. Job is completely right there by saying, I have heard many such things. That's exactly what it's like arguing with an atheist. They think they've got some novel, amazing, genius view, the facts and logic they ploughed out of Wikipedia like 10 minutes ago, and they conferred with their other friends. I have heard it all before. I have heard many such things as that. I know those things already. They do not comfort me. So if comfort is what you're looking for, and if you want something to be true so that you can stop arguing, comfort is indeed what you're looking for, whether you call it that or not, you're not going to find it with these guys. Miserable comforters are they. And you can say this to atheists. What is your goal? What is your actual goal? Is it to find comfort, which is what I think? Because that's what it looks like. If facts and logic, knowing things, is the thing that you need in order to feel comfortable so that you don't need to argue with me, because that's the reason they're arguing with us Christians, they're not comfortable with the fact that we say they're wrong, even though we didn't actually say that. By definition of having this truth here and believing it, having faith, it proves the position of atheism to be faulty, and it makes them feel doubtful. And when they feel doubtful, they need to find comfort. And the way they find comfort, because they don't have anything to believe on that gives them comfort, they find comfort by releasing you from your faith. And then they can say, I'm right, you're wrong, I can still be comfortable, even though they're not. Shall windy words have an end? Or what provokes you that you answer? Job is making the observation that windy words is what they're going to use. Windy words is like clever parabolic fables, in the style that Jesus has used to a greater effect than they have. And saying, what provokes your answer, is saying, why are you bothering to argue with me when you don't have any basis of fact? What is it that's driving you to have this argument with me, a Christian, when you're an atheist? The need for comfort. Excuse me. The need for comfort, and that's going to be a central theme of us going through this, and a central theme for atheists arguing against us. Because comfort, and I'm going to keep saying this until people understand, comfort, even though they don't call it that, is exactly what the atheist needs and wants. That's the reason why they are so interested in facts and logic and science. It's not like they care about science. It's not like these guys are little budding Einsteins, is it? These guys aren't going off inventing hadron colliders. They're not discovering bosons. They're not splitting the atom. No. They're just trying to get through their normal lives without having doubt creep in. They don't want to feel doubtful about the thing you're arguing against now because of cognitive dissonance. They're in fear of cognitive dissonance. What that means is, if they can't prove this one thing to you now, and it proves to be wrong through what you say, everything else is probably going to be wrong that they believe, and then they're stood on nothing. And they have confusion and they have doubt, and they will definitely need comfort at that point. So them being clever atheists can see this up ahead and they try to avoid it. So that's their position. It's not one of discovery, it's one of avoidance. They want to avoid being wrong rather than discover something which is right. And that's why Job is correct to say, shall windy words ever have an end? Because if you think about it, if you're avoiding something, you don't have an end. Your end is whenever the thing stops coming for you. When the truth stops coming towards you, you'll stop avoiding it, then it will have its end. And what provokes that you answer is saying, even after you have reached the end of your thing that you're saying, you keep going. So what is it that I have to say to get you to realise there is a conclusion that you are looking for, and running away from it isn't going to make you find it. You're going to have to run towards it at some point. And when you run towards it, you probably find it. 4. I also could speak as you do. If you were in my place, I could join words together against you and shake my head at you. In modern terms, I could also speak as you do if you were in my place. Job is saying, I could do what you're doing right now. It'd be easy. I could easily go on Wikipedia. Well, Job couldn't, but I mean, in terms of now, I can do exactly what the atheist does. I can get on Wikipedia, I can Google anything that is told to me, I can find the stock answer on Google, and I can repeat it. And I can claim that this is a fact. I know this to be a fact. Science, facts, logic. It's always down to that. That's what Job is saying. I could do that. That's easy. What does that prove? That doesn't make you factually true, does it? Looking up Wikipedia or the Times on Sunday, BBC, or a NASA website, finding other people's facts, because they're not facts unless you find them. They're other people's reporting, other people's opinion, other people's journalism on facts. But it's not the same thing. So what Job is saying here is, say to the atheist, look, anyone can do what you're doing. But it doesn't make you certain, does it? If you were certain, you wouldn't be arguing with me. You would be convincing me. The fact is, though, I am not convinced. The reason I'm not convinced is because you don't have facts. You have speculation. Maybe some of it's correct. Maybe your source is accurate. Maybe even you understand it yourself. But it doesn't look like that to me. What it looks like to me is you are fearful of losing an argument. And that's what it comes down to with most atheists. You're in a duel. It's not about finding truth. It's not about understanding the world. It's about winning today's argument so that I can retain my existing position and I can avoid fear of being wrong and suffering cognitive dissonance with everything. I'm running away, is what the atheist is thinking, even though they don't realise it. If you were in my place, I could join words together against you and shake my head at you. So Job's making the observation there that these guys, from the beginning, they don't have a fair mind, even though they claim they do. The first thing they do, they shake their head at you. And if I were in your place, I could do that too. I could join words together, make meaningless sentences full of big words. I can use all these scientific quangos, make myself sound really clever. And I could shake my head at you and say, oh, you're definitely wrong. You know, I got facts and logic, mate, bro. That's what they're doing. So how do we counter that? I could strengthen you with my mouth, and the solace of my lips would assuage your pain. So Job is saying, I could actually strengthen you with my mouth, whereas you can only weaken me with yours, even though you've got facts and logic, bro, and you think you're so clever, you think everything you're saying is factual. If it's factual, how come it weakens the people you tell it to? Whereas what I will say to you will strengthen you, and the solace of my lips, as in once I finish telling you that and I have solace, quiet, I stop talking, we reach the end of what I'm saying. It's not windy words, it does have a conclusion. When we get there, you will have your pain assuaged, as in your pain will be persuaded away by you yourself. Your pain will be banished because you will have discovered a truth that is comforting. And the reason it will be comforting is because you will be certain, you will accept it. So maybe it's better than your facts and logic, bro, that you got off Wikipedia or that YouTube video you told me to watch. 8. If I speak, my pain is not assuaged, and if I forbear, how much of it leaves me? Job is back to complaining about his assailant atheist. He's saying, if I speak, my pain is not assuaged. Like if I have to tell you this truth and you just refute it without reading it, that actually makes me less comforted and in pain. I hate seeing you do that. We're back to the whole comforter thing. So what Job is saying is if you listen to this and you actually bother to read it properly, you know, give it the evidence standard that you give your own evidence, you know, read it, then I wouldn't have a problem. But I know you're not going to do that, oh atheist. What you're going to do is say, well, I've got facts and logic, bro. You have to look at my evidence, bro. My evidence is factual, bro. But then when I say, well, let's look at my evidence now we've looked through yours, you're going to say, no, don't believe it, it's the Bible, it's definitely wrong, before you've looked at it. And in which case, the solace of my lips will not assuage your pain because you won't get the solace. You'll still have an argument on your hands and you'll feel miserable. Whereas if I speak, my pain is not assuaged, and if I forbear, it will leave me. So what that means is I'm trying to be forbearing to this guy. I'm trying to be forbearing to these atheists. Like I'm putting up with their rubbish and nonsense, and I'm being kindly and polite. I'm letting them insult me, drag my faith through the mud, and, you know, be really unfair. Look at their evidence when I know they're not going to look at mine. But the forbearance I'm giving them is going to leave me after that. It means the next atheist I see ain't going to get it. I'm going to be horrible to the next atheist I see because they're going to be expected to be like this one. So we go back to the original bit about miserable comforters are you. That's the effect these atheists will have. They build cynicism. They actually put you off being nice and kindly and thoughtful and intelligent because they're not being any of those things. Even though they're claiming they are, it's hypocrisy. Plain and simple, it's hypocrisy. If they were honest, the time and attention they give their own evidence, they should give to yours if they are fair. If this is a scientific discovery we've got here where both sides have their facts equally considered, then just saying, well, I'm not reading your Bible because it's a book that's called the Bible and it's old and it's not science, that is not a good enough standard of inquiry, and you're not looking at the evidence. You've only looked at one side then if you do that. And that's the reason why you're miserable, and why when I have to speak to you, you're making me miserable. So maybe be as scientific as you claim, O atheist. Stop making excuses and running away. If you're not afraid of the truth, then just read it. Surely that would make more sense, and then you wouldn't be so miserable, and you would have the solace of my lips. I would stop talking and go, cool, off you go, read it. See you in 3 days, and we'll have this discussion again. Good luck getting an atheist to say that. I'm still cynical about this. The reason I'm making this video, actually, it's more for Adam. I know this isn't going to be a particularly popular video, but Adam is off battling these atheists, trying to be kind and putting all this patience towards them. And I know he's going to be getting treated like absolute garbage by these guys. Like, I was one of those guys. I was a good atheist for like most of my life. 2/3 of my life. And I was really good at it. I used to convince tons of people that God wasn't real. In fact, that's how I ended up finding that he was real. I used to say to people, what's the proof that God is real? Forgetting books, forgetting everything else, what is the one proof that you'll send me to if you can only send me to one? And the thing I always used to hear is prayer. Pray to God. Ask him yourself. And so I did. But unlike these atheists are being with my friend Adam, I actually did it properly. I gave it the time of day, and I put the scientific experimentation to one side, and I looked at this like a piece of evidence that was factual. So what did I do? I read How Do You Pray? I read what other prayers look like and sound like. I read about the things you don't pray for, the things you can pray for, and how you speak to God in consideration that he is a divine creative being and you're just a puny human. So I went off to do this prayer to prove that it didn't work. I'd done all the inquiry, I'd done all the setup, I'd done all the study. I knew how to pray as good as any Christian did. Probably better. I arranged the conditions perfectly. Literally perfectly. You couldn't have faulted it. And I went out and did this prayer. And I did the whole Dear Lord bit. Please remove all doubts, if so you be real. Please show me that I am in error of my ways. Thank you for my blessings, dear Lord. Amen. That was how it went. And I expected nothing to happen, but I immediately met Christ. He appeared to me. And I was a Christian after that. So that's what these guys will get if you can convince them to pray and read the Bible. Even if, like with your dog, you have to wrap the pill of the Bible in a piece of ham and then sneak it past them, it doesn't matter. If you can make them give this the time of day, the same as they do with their facts and logic, their science, 100% of the time, if you can get them to do a sincere prayer, it will work. It will bear a fruit for them. They will see that God is real. They're sincere. Why not? Why wouldn't they? Everyone else I've said that to who's done it is now a Christian. It worked on me. I'm a Christian. I was the gobbiest atheist you could ever find. I had a website. I was going to conferences. I was in the mould of like a Dawkins kind of fella. Look at me now. That's the power of prayer. So that's what you've got to try and make them understand. That's what Job is saying here. So we move on. Surely now God has worn me out. He has made desolate all of my company, and he has shriveled me up, which is a witness against me, and my leanness has risen up against me. It testifies to my face. Curious use of language, isn't it? So let's go through it. 7. Surely now God has worn me out. Job is saying to these guys that are talking to him, who are clearly younger than he is and have more energy, he's saying, look, I'm old, I'm worn out, I can't argue all day, we can't do these windy words forever because I need to get to bed. God has made desolate all my company. He's saying, all you guys are desolate. Look how miserable you are. Look how you treat your brother. Look how you treat me when I'm trying to do you a favour. I'm trying to give you some information you don't currently have. Even if you believe it or you don't believe it, doesn't matter. You have to look at it to make that judgment. That's all I'm trying to do, is make you look at it fairly, read it, and you treat me like this. You won't. So I'm tired, and you guys are desolate and miserable. And when I go, you will congratulate each other as if you have won something. But we've already been through. You haven't won anything. You've just refused to take on the thing that I'm trying to give you. You've lost something. The thing I was going to give you. And he has shriveled me up, which is a witness against me. So he's saying, You guys and all this windy words nonsense, this long drawn out debate that is going in circles, has actually shriveled me up. It's dried me out. I now feel a bit kind of angsty and a bit ratty. And that's a witness against me. So he's saying this is my fault. He's not blaming the atheist for being annoying and downright rude. He's saying it's my fault because I have this and you don't. So it makes it my fault. It makes it my responsibility to get this through to your head, even though you could just say yes and read it, like you said you would with your facts and your science. That's how you should be doing it. But you're saying no and give me excuses. And I'm old and tired and I can't carry on, but it's my fault that I didn't make you understand. Job is saying personal responsibility is upon me to do the right thing by you. Even though you are not doing the right thing by you, and you're certainly not doing it by me. That's Christianity, personal responsibility. Even when something's not technically your fault, God teaches us to make it our fault so that we can be responsible for the fix, the cure. We can come back tomorrow and fix it. 9. He has torn me in his wrath and hated me. He has gnashed his teeth at me. My adversary sharpens his eyes against me. He has torn me in his wrath and hated me. He's saying these guys are actually getting to me. They're making me feel angry because they're hating on me when I'm trying to be loving to them. That's what we find with atheism. They are hating towards us. Not personally. They don't know us personally most of the time. They're hating towards our religion. They are being persecutory towards our faith. And the reason is because they think their faith, atheism, is better. And the reason they are convincing themselves that they think it's better is because this old facts and logic thing. But as we went through, they don't have the solid facts they think they do. And the more they say this, the more they're going to have to argue and make you miserable. So what this says to me, while they're tearing at me with wrath and gnashing their teeth at me, perhaps now is the time to politely admit defeat and come back another day. Maybe when they're at home they'll think twice and they'll be fair, but they're certainly not going to do it now. And that's why he finishes off verse number 9 by saying, my adversary sharpens his eyes against me. That's a hunting thing. That's what animals do when they're hunting prey. Sharpen their eyes. They like glazed eyes looking at something. They forget everything outside of the target and they are solely focused on biting the prey. That's what it is when you're arguing with an atheist. Suddenly the facts and logic and science that they were so proud of 5 minutes ago is all completely forgotten and they are just 100% focused on beating you. And that means you can't befriend them. But you have to befriend someone. If you're going to teach them truth, you can't teach someone truth if they don't like you. If they have no respect for your position, they're not going to listen, are they? Perhaps there'll be answers in the future verses. 10. Men have gaped their mouths with me. They have struck me insolently on the cheek. They mass themselves together against me. This is exactly what atheists do. Men have gaped with their mouths at me. How can you say that? How can you be so stupid? Even though you're not. You're relaying 2,000-year-old wisdom that's still going strong onto guys who have wisdom that's but a few years old and in 2,000 years won't be around anymore. Nobody's going to say that anymore. They have struck me insolently on the cheek. They've gone, you're an idiot. Not physically, but in the conversation. And you have to turn the other cheek. You have to just let them do that. Remember, it's your fault. And he has shriveled me up, which is a witness against me. So you're the one trying to convince them. They have nothing to convince you of. They're trying to share non-faith with you. They're trying to convince you that this is wrong. They don't have anything correct to give you. All they have to give you is doubt that this is true. So if you accept it, it's your own fault. So they're going to slap you to try and say to you, you're an idiot, you're a fool, or whatever, this is wrong. They don't have anything to offer you, so you turn the other cheek. That's what that says. They mass themselves together against me. They do. They have a committee. This is how atheism works. Because they don't have God as an ultimate source of truth, and they don't have the Bible, which doesn't change in 2,000 years, still says the same thing, they have to have a committee of other atheists. So when a new science fact comes out, they'll say, oh, facts and science. But then they have to discuss it out with all the other atheists. And between them all, they will come to a consensus. They'll agree a common standard, and that will be the fact and logic they give to you. But it's not. The reason I do this is it's not facts and logic if they've conferred in a committee. If they've read it online, or in a book, or on a website, and then they've conferred, it's an opinion. That is a fact. If you have factual science done in a lab, then you write a report, then someone writes a journalist article, then someone writes a Wikipedia, then you read it. That's not a fact you're reading. You're reading about a journalist textual report of a scientific experiment which generated a fact. But you weren't there, so you didn't see the fact. You've got a third-hand report, which is opinion. And that means you need a committee. You need to mass your friends around and pat each other on the head and go, well, there's 20 of us, there's only one of him. We must be right then. And you put your faith in men. That's what you're doing there. Your God is 20 people. Whereas our God is one guy who wrote the insides of this book. And we can pray to make sure it's correct. So that's what that means. 11. God gives me up to the ungodly and casts me into the hands of the wicked. This is true. God does indeed cast us into the hands of the wicked, not so that we can be punished or harmed, so that the wicked can be brought to the truth. Because how are they ever going to learn unless we negotiate them to read the Bible? They're never going to read it on their own, are they? I will go as far as saying this. You can line up 1 million atheists, and there will not be one in there that will do what I did and actually give the Bible the evidence standard that it deserves. Reading it, performing a prayer properly, sincerely praying as if Jesus is real, even when you're an atheist. That's what's required if you're treating this like a piece of evidence. And treating it like evidence is required if you are talking about facts, logic, and science. That's what a scientist would do. There is no scientist on earth who you can present like a table of elements with and he'll go, I'm not going to read it. It's just not true. That's faith that causes you to do that. False faith. Scientists will tell you, if you're given a piece of evidence, before you make the judgment, you read it, you study it, you understand it, you test it. So that means reading, praying. Praying is the test. If they're not willing to do that, they're not being scientific, which means they have no truth. And that's the reason why God's giving you into their hands, not so you can be harmed and become doubtful. It's for the tiny little chance that you will find that 1 in a million who will actually come back to the truth and give it the time of day, and they will discover the truth on their own. They won't need you. They will read this, they will pray, God will answer them, and they will understand. God, it's quite hard going through this, isn't it? I've got to say, I can understand why people don't read books, especially the Bible, and they just watch videos or they read Wikipedias and stuff. It's just easy. You don't have to do any thinking. Like if I sit back like this, and I watch the telly, I watch a load of videos, it's easy. There's no effort from me. I'm on my backside just staring at a screen. But I'm not doing any thinking. This is what people don't understand. When you read the book, when you read the Bible, when you read the actual words, your mind is imagining that. Your imagination is working, your brain cells are working, and you are formulating your own thoughts on this. That's how you generate wisdom. You won't forget that after you've read it. So it is hard work. Like this video is hard work to make, like it's hard work for you to watch and understand. But if you don't read the paper Bible, do the actual thinking in your own brain cells and then understand it over time and then present it when you're in an argument, then all you're able to do is parrot, repeat things that other people have thought about. That's not truth at all. Like if you watch my video and you memorize this word for word, you can say it to someone else. They might understand it better than you, but you won't understand it. You're just reeling it off like a tape player, aren't you? The only way to get real wisdom, real value out of the time you spend, and this is why it's difficult, is to read the Bible on paper, read it out loud in words like I'm doing here, and think about it. Read one sentence, stop, think about it. Read another sentence, stop, think about it. That's how to do it. And it is hard work, but you know what? If you want to be wise, intelligent, if you want to have something worth giving to someone else, if you want to have guidance that you can teach to others that will actually benefit them, guess what? You're going to need to work for it. You're going to need to study. Like we're doing now. So anyway, let's carry on. A little break. 12. I was at ease and he broke me apart. He seized me by the neck and dashed me to pieces. He set me up as his target. So who is Job talking about here? I was at ease and he broke me apart. He's still talking about God, curiously enough. He's saying, in his ignorance, he was at ease. Ignorance is bliss. He didn't know there was a truth to miss out on. He just thought life was random and he was at the mercy of more intelligent men than he. And he was happy with it because he was ignorant. And God broke that apart. That's what God does. God divides the good from the bad. So God removed his ignorance and threw it away. And then Job realised he didn't know anything. So he prayed and he read scriptures and he tried to have a righteous life. He seized me by the neck and dashed me to pieces. That's how it feels to Job. He's saying when God found him and started communicating with him, it was like someone had seized him by the neck and then dashed him to pieces. Like his whole life was completely rearranged. And that's what will happen to these atheists. If you can get them to eat that piece of ham with the antibiotic in, if you can sneak this into them, if they willingly accept it, even better. But 99 times out of 100, they will not. So if you can get them to accept this through whatever means, that will be them. God will give them up to the ungodly and cast them into the hands of the wicked. And at first they won't like it. But that is how to get wisdom. Wisdom is not something someone's just going to give you gift wrapped. It's not like a child playing with a toy. It's not rewarding at first. You have to work for the reward. That's why it's called wisdom. He dashed me into pieces. He set me up as his target. Now, why is he saying God set me up as his target? It's because God is trying to shoot you with an arrow of truth. He's not trying to shoot you with a metal arrow that's going to kill you. Your sin is the target, and by shooting you with his truth and empowering you with wisdom, God is confident that you can take that into your life and improve. And if you've already done that, you can help others. And that's why he's saying he throws us to the lions, if you like, by sending us into a crowd of atheists to try and convince them. They will never get there on their own. They need this, and to have this, they need us. And that's why if we fail, it's our own fault, our responsibility. And if we can help them out with it, we've done the best thing we can ever do for them. Just open their eyes. Make them realise facts and logic is all fine and well as long as you consider both sides fairly. That's what they have to do. Otherwise, they're just biased and they know nothing. 13. His archers surround me. He slashes open my kidneys and does not spare. He pours out my gall on the ground. Slashing open someone's kidneys doesn't actually kill them. That's why he's saying that. If you slash someone's kidneys open, it's excruciatingly painful. And it's a very, very slow death. It doesn't kill you straight away. So that's what he's saying. Having this happen, having this long, drawn-out argument with an atheist, it is like having your spleen split open, your liver split open. It's like bleeding to death slowly. By the end of it, you're so weak and listless, you just don't care. You're just waiting for death. He pours out my gall on the ground. Gall is like the inside, the liquid insides of your body. So he's saying it feels like I've been drained of all my energy. And that just goes back to him saying, miserable comforters are you. If you are... Look, it's very simple to understand, and an atheist will even admit this. If you are sharing a piece of truth between two people in a friendly spirit, it will energize you. It won't weaken you. It will wake you up. It won't tire you. It will comfort you. Won't make you miserable. So what they're giving you, if it's making you miserable and they're having to get angry to tell you, it can't therefore be a truth. It must be false. And the reason they have to dispute this is because if their thing is making you miserable and is false, and your thing will make them happy and is true, cognitive dissonance is just around the corner, because if one thing's false, everything might be false because they don't have God to give them faith and certainty. But just remind them, you can have faith and certainty. You don't need to have that suffering of the cognitive dissonance, because the thing is with science is everything independently works. One thing doesn't support another thing generally. Whereas the Bible, if you understand that God is there and you know that he's real, everything in the Bible becomes true and you can physically check it. None of it will be false. Right? So that's the thing it's got over atheism. One truth doesn't lead to a fact that's false. One truth leads to a fact that is also true. And all the facts of the Bible lead to the rest of the facts in the Bible. They are all true if you have faith in God. And it's not like you just believe in them for no reason. You know, like I say, you test these things out. Like I did when I was an atheist. Test out the Bible. Does it tell you how to pray? Yes. Read the bit about prayer. Testing a prayer out. Does prayer work? Yes. Surprise, surprise. To my ultimate shock, yes, it did work. So now I know Bible, Jesus, prayer is true. I start reading the Bible every day. Does this improve my life? Yes. Does it bring me comfort, make me happier? Yes. Does it make me nicer and better when I'm speaking to other people? Yes, yes, and yes. Whereas what they're saying only benefits them. Now, while they're arguing with you, and only if they can make you miserable with it. It's no way to live. 35 minutes. I think we'll wrap up soon. It's getting a bit long. So, 14. He breaks me with breach upon breach. He runs upon me like a warrior. Breach upon breach is saying once you breach one bit of the Bible, another bit will breach, another bit will breach, and there's no end to the breaching attacks of the Bible truths. It will just completely overwhelm you. That's why he's saying he runs upon me like a warrior. He's saying God runs upon you like a warrior. Once he's on you, that's it. You're not getting away. You're done. But the done is not death. It's life. It's truth. I have sewed sackcloth upon my skin. I have laid my strength in the dust. So he's saying, okay, God, now I recognise you're true and I'm going to start learning from you, recognising your truth. I have sewed sackcloth upon my skin. That means I've humbled myself and I have covered my shame. And that's what atheists need to do, is accept that it is a bit shameful being ignorant. That's the reason why they claim they have facts and logic when they don't. That's the reason they have to deride Christians and say faith is stupid and mindless and you're on drugs and you're paranoid and all this other rude stuff that they say. They have to say that. Because otherwise they're naked. Without all these facts and logics and Wikipedias and videos, they are naked. So they need to sew sackcloth upon their skin, hide their shame, and then lay their strength in the dust. And what that means is recognise you're not as clever as you thought you were. But you can be, if you accept both sides, because they're both true a lot of the time. Science is true a lot of the time. Like, I'm not a person who's adverse to science. Science, when it's done correctly, is also going to generate you truths, but they don't ever go against what the Bible teaches us. They always back up what the Bible teaches us, because the Bible is also truth. One thing checks off the other. So that's what he's saying here. Lay your strength in the dust, as in stop arguing about this facts and logic thing when it has nothing behind it. You know, your websites and your videos are just opinions. Compare it to this fairly, objectively, test it out by praying, then come back and we'll talk, and you can pick that strength up again, and it won't be fake. It will be based on truth, and it will be certain, solid. You'll have faith in it. 40 minutes and it's 7:30. So I think that's the end of this video. Hopefully you get a feel for the book of Job and what he's trying to say there. So what I would say is, if you're still going at this point, 40 minutes in, go away and read Job. You don't have to start at 16. You can start at 1. Just read it all the way through. And like I say, read it out loud. Don't skimp on the effort. You're not reading it for someone else's benefit. It's you trying to pick up on God's wisdom. So don't just open it and read it in your head. That won't work. Read the words out loud, and if they don't sound powerful enough, you are not doing it correctly. Go back, read them again. Correctly? So anyway, that's my advice to you. Read the Bible out loud, do it correctly, do it again and again till you get it right. Think about each verse after you've read it, and when you really fully understand it, don't stop there. Now it's time to go and give that to someone else. Share the truth with someone else. And like we found out with Adam and his atheist friends, they will not be reticent to this. They will not accept this immediately. Most of the time, even if you present the perfect argument to them, they will still tell you that you're stupid and that you lose, and proclaim a victory for themselves, and then they'll go away. But just accept defeat with a bit of grace. Because what will generally happen is when they're away on their own, They'll be thinking about what you said, and if you did as good of a job as you think you did, that will have an effect on them. And hopefully with time, they will go off on their own where nobody else can see or hear them to criticise or call them mad, and they will pray to the Lord, and the Lord will answer them. And then you've done your job. So, that's the end of this video. Hope you enjoyed that and you learnt something. God bless you all, especially Adam for bringing that question to me. And I'll see you lovely people in the next one. Bye now. It's the same old battle we always find. Which is stronger, power or words? Faith or doubt? It's up to you to win that argument. So best of luck, God bless you all, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye now. Bye bye bye.